Hi, this recipe is actually an accident. I did not set out to make an oatmeal cream cookie recipe. I set out to make a crispy snickerdoodle cookie, and it tasted like an oatmeal cookie, and it just kind of snowballed from there. But this is one of the better recipes I think I've ever made, and so I was too excited to share it with you. That's why I'm like my grungy clothes, no makeup. I just wanted to share this recipe before the holidays. So you know that I love oat fiber, and I had made a fathead pizza, added oat fiber, used about 1/3 of the almond flour, substituted in oat fiber, and it was crispy. And so after dinner I started thinking I might be able to make a crispy cookie, and crispy cookies are very hard to come by in a low carb world. But anyway, so I made the cookie, and my family said, oh wait, that tastes like an oatmeal cookie. And from there I decided, well, if I can make the oatmeal cookie, I need to make the cream filling. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with 3/4 of a cup of almond flour. And I keep trying to use less and less almond flour because it does have so many carbs, but that's 3/4 a cup of finely ground almond flour. To that, I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of oat fiber. A 1/2 cup is more than I generally use, and I'm dipping into my reserves. I'm gonna have to order some more oat fiber soon. But if you've ordered oat fiber to make the biscuits, then this is a recipe that will use up some of what you bought. I also love this recipe because it's giving me a chance to use some new products that I love. I'm so excited about. Now I'm going to use brown sugar. This is a company that's been in Norway that's expanding into the US. Sukrin Gold is the name of this. This is their brown sugar. Sukrin is the name of the company. Sukrin, I may not be pronouncing that correctly. It's Sukrin. And Sukrin Gold, they sent me some products to try. And this brown sugar is amazing. This is the second bag. I've actually used a whole bag, and I've ordered some of my own. I don't get paid. It's not like a paid endorsement or paid sponsorship. I don't get paid for this. I just really like this product. They did offer me a coupon code. And if you go to Sukrin USA and use a coupon code FRIENDS, you'll get a 10% discount. And that's what I use, and I love having that discount. And it's also going to use their gold fiber syrup. I love this. This is the closest thing you can get to like dark Karo syrup in the low carb world, and it's wonderful. And I think that's what helps give these cookies their taste and texture. Now I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of the Sukrin brown sugar. If you don't have the Sukrin brown sugar and you don't want to order it, you can use your favorite granulated sugar and put in a teaspoon or 2 of molasses. Molasses does have sugar, regular sugar in it, but it will help give it that brown sugar flavor. Just like sugar also has a brown sugar. And I do want to tell you, this is made from erythritol, tagatose, glycerol, malt extract, and stevia. So it does not have an aftertaste. It is quite wonderful. It has not given me any upset tummy or sugar spikes. So that's what I'm using. But you don't have to use, if you don't have it, you can use the just like sugar, brown sugar, or mix your favorite granulated low carb sweetener with some molasses. That will work. 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and I have both of those in the same container. I'm just putting this in my food processor because it makes it so much easier. I'm also going to use a teaspoon of baking powder, and I'm going to use butter, but let's give this a little whiz in the food processor first. There we go. Oops, I always mess up with this thing. You would think I never use it. There we go. So we're just giving all that a whiz. And notice I'm just using the mixer blade. I'm not using the sharp blade because we just want to mix it up. The butter is why I'm using the blade, the food processor. I just did it by hand with a pastry cutter the first time I made it. And for the butter, I'm using 7 tablespoons of butter. And probably I should have cut that up. We'll see how it goes in the food processor. Okay, so I'm gonna let that go. That's going to become like coarse crumbs. So once I've put in that 7 tablespoons of butter, I'm going to add 1 egg. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of the Sukrin Gold. I love this stuff on pancakes. And the ingredients on it is isomaltoglycerides, IMO, malt extract, and stevia. Again, it hasn't given me any tummy upset, nor has it spiked blood glucose. But you should check for yourself, especially if you're diabetic. You might want to use your testing to make sure that it doesn't bother you. And again, I should have chopped this up better. If you'll just hand me a knife, David, it'll do better. This went so smoothly when I did a run through on this recipe when I wasn't taping, and I don't know why I didn't do that better. All right, let's see if we can get this blended up. And again, you want it just like fine crumbs. I'm also going to add some vanilla and a little bit of liquid sweetener because it's a crutch. All right, that's much more like what it's supposed to be. So before you put your butter in there, just cut it into smaller pieces. The butter is really nice and cold, and you want it that way so that it's crumbly. Let's add our egg. Let's add the liquid Sukrin Gold. And this stuff is so good in pancakes. I'm also going to be using this to make a pecan pie, and I've got to get that done for the holidays, because I know pecan pies are really popular, or as my husband says, pecan pie. It's really popular for Thanksgiving. While I have that open, let's go ahead and add the vanilla extract. I'm going to add a full teaspoon of vanilla. Actually, I think I'll add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. And the salt is just 1/4 of a teaspoon, and the cinnamon's 1/4 of a teaspoon. You want it fairly subtle. You can add more than that if you'd like. All right, let's try this. Once I get the batter made, I'm going to set it in the fridge to cool for a little while. It smells so good. Now, this batter may not, if you taste it, because I always tell folks to taste for sweetness, so if you taste it, it may not taste so great because of the baking powder. Baking powder kind of has that way about it, but once you get it out of the oven, you will be amazed. I'm going to go ahead and add a few drops of liquid sweetener. I'm going to add 6 drops. And if you prefer, I'm using liquid sucralose. If you prefer to use liquid stevia, you can. And you can see this is a really thick batter. Now, when I set it aside to cool, I'm going to scrape it around, but it's really, really super thick. So I'll put it in the fridge to cool, and I'll get out of the fridge. I've got some in the fridge that's been sitting that I made earlier. So this will go into the fridge. This will get moved over. And here's what I made earlier. Voila. Okay, let me move some of this out of the way. So when I put this together, I'm just going to put it on parchment paper. Now, some of you are great cooks, much, much better than I am. And so you like to roll things out and make it look pretty. I probably should do that, but because this dough is firm enough with all that butter once it's been refrigerated to do that. What I've been doing with it, and I've made 4 batches now, what I've been doing with it is rolling it into a ball and just putting it out and kind of smushing it down. That way you can make it whatever size you want. I have not counted the carbs in this. A lot of it depends on how you count the carbs in those sugars, the sugar alcohols, and the oat fiber. Because it's an insoluble fiber, I don't tend to count carbs in that, even though I do tend to do total carbs. The carbs are primarily from the oat fiber. And again, excuse me, not oat fiber, from the almond flour. And again, a lot of that depends on how big you make the cookies and your serving size. So I'm just going to roll these out. And at the oven, they should go in the oven at 325. You don't want real high heat with almond flour, but they're going to go in the oven about 325, and they're going to bake from 7 to 9 minutes. And just see how I'm patting them out. They won't change shape a lot, so get them the shape you want. And if you've got a finger impression, then it's probably going to come out of the oven with that finger impression. So press those down. Now, like I said, alternately, you could take a piece of parchment paper, put on top, roll it out, cut it out, and make it really, really pretty. There's a big blob of butter on that one. Not going to worry about it. It's going to be just fine. The one batch I did earlier, my husband said, "Is that a macadamia nut?" And I said, "Nope, it's a big blob of butter." But get this moved out in the best shape that you can. Let me set those aside and I'll show you what I baked just a bit ago. Actually, I'm gonna rinse my hands. Okay. Here are the cookies I made just a bit ago. And they came out of the oven looking pretty good. Now they're gonna be soft when they come out. You want them relatively brown. They're gonna be soft but as they sit, they will get more firm. And generally what I do, and they smell just like an oatmeal cookie, generally I put them on a baking rack, I slide them off of the parchment paper. I hadn't really had a chance to do that. That one broke when I lifted the parchment paper from the baking sheet. And you can see they're really pretty sturdy already, but they will get a little more crisp over time. So those are oatmeal cookies. They smell amazing. So in order to put them together, we need icing. That's what we're going to do next. We're going to make some icing. Okay, so the icing too was a happy accident. I did not mean to make the icing quite the way I did. As it turns out, it's a really nice buttercream, and so I'm sure I'll be using this recipe over and over again. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never been a fan of those Little Debbie cookies, but this tastes a lot like them, and my husband is a fan. And then a viewer, a subscriber, had asked me, how do you make those? Do you have a substitute? And I didn't have a substitute. So when I made the cookies by accident and then I made the cream, I messaged her right away and said, you're not going to believe what I made. I made a Little Debbie copycat. So anyway, I'm excited about this icing recipe. I'm going to start with butter, and I'm going to check my notes because this is a new recipe for me. But I'm going to start with 3 tablespoons of butter, and that's what's in here, 3 tablespoons. Now, to the 3 tablespoons of butter, I'm going to add 3 ounces of heavy whipping cream. It's basically 1/3 cup plus 2 tablespoons, but it's 3 ounces of heavy whipping cream or heavy cream. I'm going to go ahead and start to mix that, but I'm going to have to plug in my mixer first. I've been moving things around. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mix that, and it's going to make a mess. You want to mix that together until it's really thick, until your cream has started to get really turn into the cream is getting to peaks. Okay. You're going to add your vanilla extract last. Don't do what I do and add it too quickly. So we've got 3 tablespoons of butter, your 1/3 cup plus 2 tablespoons of heavy cream. We're going to add a 1/2 cup of confectioner sugar. Now that's a 1/2 cup of confectioner sugar. Again, this is by company Sukrin. I love this stuff. It is a mix of erythritol and stevia, and I've been using it in icings for a couple of weeks now. Again, no spikes in blood sugar. I used it as icing for a carrot cake cheesecake and took it to my mother's for her birthday, and she loved it. She's like, wow, there's no aftertaste. So again, that is the 3rd Sukrin product I really would recommend. So let's mix this all together. And let's add in a little cinnamon. This is a 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon and a 1/4 teaspoon salt. I'm going to add that in. I'm going to add a teaspoon of coconut oil. Use the unrefined coconut oil if your family doesn't like it, like my family doesn't, because if it's unrefined, they won't taste it. Okay, now I'm also going to add a couple drops of liquid sweetener. Well, okay. And here comes the other favorite ingredient. Now this may look grainy and you're like, how is this ever going to be a wonderful creamy buttercream? Well, another product that I had in the cabinet for a year and just began to play with is glucomannan. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. Glucomannan, Glucomanna. I love this stuff. It's from the cognac root. It's a soluble fiber, no blood sugar spikes. There's been some nice research on this that shows it actually lowers blood sugar levels. Now, I was going to use a little bit of this to thicken it and accidentally used a lot of this, and it was another happy accident. Now, I don't want to add it all at once because if I do, it's going to glop. But this is 4 teaspoons of glucomannan powder. I ordered it online. I'm going to just sprinkle a little over, and you'll see me sprinkle and mix and sprinkle. This is what changes the texture. I don't know if xanthan gum or arrowroot would work. I really don't know. I have not tried it, but the glucomannan is amazing. I honestly think this is the best low-carb buttercream I have ever made. I honestly think it's a game changer. I think this could be, this is firm enough it would stand up. It can be used to decorate cakes. I made a chocolate version of this, and it was fantastic. So, I've got that mixed in, or I'm mixing it in. I want to add some vanilla extract. And I'm going to add a teaspoon, if I can find it. I want to make sure I'm telling you this correctly. Yeah, a teaspoon of vanilla. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do 2 teaspoons because I love this stuff. And another thing that I add that you may or may not want to add, but another thing that I add is, well, 1/4 of a teaspoon of butter flavoring. Now, you may not be able to find this brand because I think it's local, but it's butter flavor, and you can find butter flavor online or at Walmart. That was too much. I just want a 1/4 teaspoon. You don't want too much butter flavor, and you can leave that out altogether. Okay, let's give it a mix. Now, I'm not a buttercream fan. I'll just be completely honest and say I'm not a buttercream fan. But my husband is, and when I asked him to try this, when I made the first batch, I asked him to try it, and his whole face lit up. And so then I contacted some friends and got them, who do low carb, high fat, got them to try it. And the daughter tried it, and her face lit up, and she said, "You mean I can have this?" So she was really excited. It is just an amazing texture. And it just has that nice, rich buttercream flavor. All right, I'm going to set that aside. This is a batch that I made earlier. And let's make our oatmeal cream cookies. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 that are fairly well shaped or look kind of alike. Maybe these 2 would be nice pairs. And I'm going to just ice it up like we would an oatmeal cream cake or oatmeal cream pie. And again, this was never a favorite snack of mine, but my husband says it was of his. And I wish you could taste it. I wish you could see it. The texture is that it's a little crisp on the outside, and then it's just nice and tender and moist on the inside. And I made some of these last night and tried them up this morning, and same thing, the texture was kind of soft on the inside, but still had a really good kind of crisp texture on the outside. I don't know about the carb count, so look that up for yourself based on the size of the cookies that you make. But these are oatmeal cream cookies. Now, I'm not going to try it, and my daughter isn't here to try it, so that just leaves my husband to give this one a go. And he may be sick of trying them for me. But that is an oatmeal cream cookie. If you try this recipe, please let me know. I know it has some ingredients that are kind of unusual for us with the glucomannan and the Sukrin products. But if you order them, like I said, use my discount coupon code FRIENDS. I don't make any money off of you ordering. I had the option of getting a commission, and I decided no, I'd rather pass that savings on to you guys. So I don't get any commission for it. I don't expect it, don't want it, don't need it. I just want you guys to be able to have a happy and sustainable low carb lifestyle. I have found this, my family really enjoys this. I hope that you make it for your family and that they enjoy it too.